All right, Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. Let's get to it.
When I get to preview an upcoming game. Who wouldn't? Getting to check out a game pre-release and then sharing that experience is one of the joys of this job. But when a code for a new build of Ninja Gaiden Ragebound materialized in my inbox, I'm pretty sure I started drooling. It's a Pavlovian response, really. See, us Ninja Gaiden sickos have been pining for the good old days for a while now. But this year has been like stumbling into an oasis in the desert.
Nah, facts.
The oasis has air
Because you got Shinobi, you got Ninja Gaiden 4, and you got this.
conditioning.
That's
I'm
heaven.
To order menu from your favorite local joint and an open bar. Ninja Gaiden fans have been wandering these sands for a long time.
Indeed.
But this year, it feels like we're coming home. I hadn't played the demo we previewed last time, so Ragebound was a new experience for me. But it felt like slipping into a pair of old shoes. It took a second to get back into the swing of things. I haven't played a 2D Ninja Gaiden in a hot second. But
Indeed.
once I did, it felt like I'd never left. There's so much to talk about here, but we've already done a more traditional preview that looks at the meat and potatoes experience of playing Ragebound, so this time, let's dig into the nitty-gritty. These are the 7 coolest things about Ninja Gaiden Ragebound.
That's such a that is such a Chat GPT vidIQ ass title.
There are a ton of cool
but it's so
mechanics in
good.
Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, but I'm starting with the Guillotine Boost because everything else flows from it. Once you're in the air, you can jump again when you're about to make contact with an enemy to both attack them and bounce off of them for another jump. Cool,
That's fire.
right?
Oh, you
But
can
it's not
infinitely
just
chain
enemies.
that.
You can do this to projectiles too, and even some enemy attacks. Obviously, you can use the Guillotine Boost to get to places you wouldn't otherwise be able to, but you can also use it to bounce between enemies and stay on the attack.
That's hard.
I managed to bounce off Girthka, the boss of the demo's second level, for a solid few seconds while he was trying to attack me. And those weird samurai spirits
And with the
spears,
sonic attacks.
just bounce off their attacks and keep going. Is the Guillotine Boost as cool as the Izuna drop?
I'm cheesing
No,
that.
nothing is.
I'm
But
cheesing
it's
that. Hell
pretty
yeah.
close.
It's kind of like Sonic, where you don't have to press a button to do it. But it's kind of like in Devil May Cry, where you could jump cancel and you could just keep attacking and switching weapons and keep attacking and switching weapons and keep attacking. Like if you can get the timing down. But I'm pretty sure this window is more forgiving than the jump canceling, because the jump canceling, you're literally like glitching out the game. You're exploiting the frame data when you do that. This is just a
So
deliberate
the Guillotine
move.
Boost lets you get to hard-to-reach places, stay on the attack, and style on bosses. But what happens when you need to kill something in a single stroke? Well, that's where the Hypercharge comes in. You can get Hypercharge by killing enemies with auras. Do so, and you'll gain a Hypercharge for a few seconds. When you have it, your next attack will kill enemies instantly. To
Nice.
be fair, most enemies in Ragebound die in a single hit, but the ones that don't, you don't want to go toe-to-toe with those cats. In a pinch, you can sacrifice some health to manually hypercharge, but you'll want to avoid that if you can.
Music is fire too.
When you're really cooking, you can chain these together to cut down enemies in rapid succession, or unleash them onto a boss to stun them and lay on the hurt, and it feels great. Speaking of which, that brings me to my next point.
Fucking him up. Simon Says is cool now.
A lot of video games really like Simon Says combat design. You know what I mean. The enemy is a certain color, so you use a specific kind of attack. I'm
Right.
looking at you, DMC Devil May Cry.
Yeah, that
Or
game
they're
was
wielding a
definitions
specific
of Simon
weapon,
Says
so you drop
gameplay.
into a stance built to counter that. Don't think I didn't notice, Ghost of Tsushima.
Hold that.
Kind of boring, right? Ninja Gaiden Ragebound flirts
No,
with
hold
Simon
on,
Says
hold on,
combat.
hold on. I never got bored of that in Ghost of Tsushima. That shit felt amazing every time. You speaking for yourself there, brother.
Design, but it gets away with it because it does it in a cool way. You can still kill anything in the Ragebound demo I played any way you want, but some of these auras that give you hypercharges, you gotta kill these enemies in a certain way if you want that hypercharge. A blue aura means you gotta slice them up with Kenji's katana, while a purple aura means you gotta use a kunai. Once you get that hypercharge, you can spend it however you want, but forcing you to match the aura to the right weapon on the fly adds a welcome element of challenge, especially when enemies are only on screen for a few seconds, and you have to react quickly. At some unspecified point in Ragebound's story,
oh
our
yeah,
boy
the
Kenji
second character,
chooses
she looks
Kamori.
interesting. I like her.
any good member of the Hayabusa
Kamori.
clan, he's pretty upset about cavorting around with the ninja of the Spider Clan, but he shouldn't be. First, she gives Kenji access to kunai to deal with enemies at range, and teleport to certain objects in the environment.
Like she could
But
attack from
also
the
a
other
spider
realm.
web.
That's fine.
In my demo, that took the shape of a throwable sickle with an arc that reminds me an awful lot of the throwing axes from Castlevania, and she gives you access to the screen-clearing Ragebound arts. When everything around you absolutely positively has to die, except no substitutes. So hey, more toys, right?
Hold that.
But
Fire
that's not
animation.
all Kamori brings to the table. She can also commune with demon altars to navigate the other world. With her spirit separate from Kenji's body and traipsing around the other world, she can go places he can't, opening new paths. She also has access to her kunai, even without ki, something Kenji doesn't have. The downside, she needs to constantly replenish a meter to stay in the other world, otherwise it's back to Kenji and you have to do it all over again. Sometimes that means you'll need to repeat a section a few times. It also breaks up the action and gives you a new way to play. Pretty cool. Also, Kamori says good grief a lot. I love her.
Good grief. Exploring is worth your time.
One of the things I really appreciate about Ragebound is its purity. It's not another roguelite in a sea of endless roguelites. Thank God. It's a side-scrolling action game in the vein of the series' original trilogy. But that doesn't mean there's not stuff worth
See,
going
he doesn't
off
like
the
roguelikes.
path for. There are scarabs and crystal skulls to find, and while it's unclear what
So
either
hold
of
on.
these do,
If y'all know, like, I thought it was roguelike, and then I've also heard the term roguelite. So what's the difference between the two, if y'all could tell me? Because I know a roguelike, that's like you die, you gotta go back and do everything all over again, you lose all your weapons and stuff like that. So a roguelite, like what is that? Like what elements of the roguelike does the roguelite have to make it be called that? Let me know.
the scarabs serve as currency for Muramasa's shop, which was not available in my demo, so I can only guess at the goodies he'll have on offer. It definitely gives you an excuse to explore. My favorite one of these do an optional bit, get a cool thing sections was one where I had to navigate a tricky, teleporty platforming section as Kamori. It took me several tries to get it right. I kept messing up at the end, but by the time I nailed it, I knew that thing like the back of my hand, and that feels good.
Rules master. As it should, as it should.
Speaking of mastering something, Ninja Gaiden Ragebound wants you to play these levels over and over again as much as you want. Once you've beaten one, you can immediately access it again from the map, and each time you play, you're scored on time, collectibles, number of enemies killed, and your best combo. And if that's not enough, there are also optional challenges that range from completing levels without being hit, to level-specific tasks like killing so many enemies with a lunge attack, or beating Ryu Hayabusa himself in the tutorial. I did not do that one. He is.
I know he was difficult, yeah.
Was
You know, you getting shit damage and he's just wrecking you. You gotta be on point. He violated.
I wouldn't call Ninja Gaiden Ragebound easy per se, but it's also not impossible on the regular difficulty either. This series has something of a legacy to maintain when it comes to being hard, and you've got to be kind of a masochist to see the deepest levels of depravity it has to show you. What can I say?
Yeah, we're not doing
like
that.
Pain. Good news for me then, because beating the demo unlocked a hard version of one of the levels I just played, and it's a lot harder. There are new enemies, everything's on fire. Developer The Game Kitchen has put in something for the sickos, and I appreciate it.
Yo, y'all go ahead. Y'all go ahead with that. I like to
Came out of
actually
my
enjoy
time
the
with
game.
Ninja Gaiden Ragebound like a man who has just had a fine meal with portions that were far too small. Appreciative, but wanting more. What can I say? I love action games, and this series in particular holds a special place in my heart. I get the shakes when you're not around, Ninja Gaiden, but it's so damn good to have you back. For more, check out our previews of Holston and Hell Is Us. And for everything else Ninja Gaiden,
I still gotta play
keep
that
here.
Hell Is Us demo
Glad you
before it runs out on the 16th. But yeah, Ragebound, man. Ragebound. So I love how this game returns to the old school games of the past, including games like Shinobi and Ninja Gaiden. You know, it's really cool to see old games be renewed with that fresh coat of paint and that fresh new engine. I know it's nostalgia bait, but that's kind of the point. You know, if it's a good game, I don't care if it's nostalgia bait. This looks like a pretty good game. I'm all for it. Any type of Metroidvania type of vibe, I'm there for it. It reminds me of, like, as far as like stylistically in the art, like as far as like making a side-scrolling 2D action adventure game, it reminds me of like the Bloodstain series. So how far they've come, like the Bloodstain series or Blasphemous or something like that. I'm definitely looking forward to this game. We definitely gonna be on that for sure. So yeah, y'all let me know how y'all feel in the comments, right? So y'all in the vibes, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. It's your boy JusticeXFalls, and we out. One.